There we go. We've just got one more minute. Had over 70 people register, so you never know with a free session how many of them will show up, but that's exciting. Okay. All right, well, it's 7, so we'll just get started. And as people join in, you just catch up with us. So yeah, just to start, thank you all for joining in our event today. Just to start off, the intent of this session is to share with you all what we're working on right now, what Becoming Architects Canada is working on to support foreign trained architects on getting licensed in Canada, get your feedback on what our thoughts are in terms of the primary concerns that we've heard to date, and also in terms of some of the ideas for initiatives that we have are, and also to leave a little bit of time for connecting with each other and sharing some information with each other. And we also have here today a couple of staff members here from the CACB, and Charlene and Jacinth, and I'll be introducing them a little bit more properly later on in the session, and they'll be doing a short presentation as well. And so our agenda here today is first just to talk a little bit about ourselves, about BAC-DAC, who we are and some of our upcoming events. We'll have a short presentation from the CACB, and then give a little bit of time for everybody to kind of assemble any questions that you may have, specifically for them, as well as while we're presenting some of our information. And then after that short presentation, we'll review the feedback that we've received so far from foreign licensed architects, and then review what some of our planned initiatives are based on that feedback. And before getting into the breakout session, we'll have a short Q&A with Jacinth and Charlene from the CACB, as well as any questions you have from us so far. And just to say, Jacinth and Charlene have to leave at the hour mark, so want to make sure that we get that Q&A in before they leave. So that's why that's there. And then we'll go into our breakout discussions. So again, kind of the goal of those will be to really just discuss what we've kind of presented as some of the concerns we've heard to date and ideas on that, and get some feedback from you. And then we'll have a little bit of time for kind of summaries of what each breakout room was discussing, and then a little wrap up at the end. So just first to introduce myself, my name is Ksenia H. I'm the president of Becoming Architects Canada, and also the committee lead for the Getting on the Path to Licensure. So that's basically the committee that helped put this together. So kind of focusing on just helping people, or especially foreign trained architects, kind of determine how to get on their path to licensure. I was one of the founding members of BAC-DAC, as well as the kind of predecessor to BAC-DAC, the RAC Emerging Practitioners Committee. And I was also the intern architect representative for the Northwest Territories Architects Association for a couple of years, and also acted as their treasurer briefly. And I'm located in Ottawa now. And just a little introduction of the rest of the team. Most of them here on the call. I think a couple are coming a little bit late just because of the time zones. But we have Patrick Lefebvre, is our vice president and events committee lead. He's out of Edmonton. Graham is our secretary and media committee lead. He's also in Edmonton. Afsana is our treasurer and knowledge committee lead. She also, just a bit of a shout out for Afsana, a lot of the great courses that are focused on exact prep that the RIC put together was her kind of brainchildren, like the NBC webinar and the contract admin webinar that was put together there. So there are actually the NBC ones are still offered on demand. So for those preparing for the exec, just a heads up, that is available through RIC. And Sogol is our newly appointed director, and Afsana and Sogol are both in Toronto. Okay, and so just a bit about ourselves. So what is BAC-DAC? We're Becoming Architects Canada, Devenir Architecte Canada, and we're a nonprofit organization. It just got formed beginning of this year or spring of this year. Our mission is to strengthen the voice and connect those on the path to architectural licensure in Canada in order to support, serve, and advocate for their professional growth. And you can check out our website. It's BAC-DAC, BAC-DAC.ca. I don't know if I have that in my next slide or not. No, so I don't. Oh, I think we have a link at the end of this presentation anyway. We can put it in the chat as well for more information about us, just architecture in Canada as well. We have some background information there. And if you want to get involved or register as a member. And just a bit about what we do. So our main objectives kind of broken in 3 categories. There's advocating, networking, and educating. And advocating, we want to provide advocacy and support around issues of particular concerns to interns, foreign licensed architects, and others that are working on their path to architectural licensure, and raise their profile within the architectural community. And also to contribute to and advance the dialogue between soon-to-be and recently licensed individuals, professionals, educators, and regulators, while promoting accountability for them as valuable participants in our profession. And we do, we actually, one of the kind of key, I guess, groups of becoming architects that are intentionally left out of our membership is students. And that's because we have a close relationship with CASA, and actually this is a student association, and they kind of discuss that they do want to stick on focusing on the students and keep them sort of under their umbrella, but still working closely with us. So students are kind of separate. They're under CASA as a kind of a advocacy or nonprofit group, but we do try to keep that link with the universities and with CASA to do some events and kind of cross-pollinate, help each other out. And with networking, our goals are to provide a forum for individuals on the path to licensure, as well as recently licensed architects to help one another out, collaborate and share. So just as we want to reach out to the universities, want to also make that connection with licensed architects as well. So we're all kind of keeping that continuum and helping and informing one another. And that's sort of why recently licensed architects are under our membership umbrella as well, just to try to keep that continuity and support. And for networking, also to provide a national networking opportunities while exploring other opportunities to partner with similar organizations internationally. And for educating, provide national resources for information, answers to questions, and addressing issues of concern to our constituency, and gather input on issues affecting our members and disseminate information nationally. So that's kind of part of what this event really is about, is both the networking and trying to get, inform of what we're working on, as well as get feedback from you all. And so a membership, who could become a member? So as I mentioned, we do have exclude students specifically because we want to have CASA focus on the students, but we include interns or architectural interns that are registered within a Canadian provincial territorial regulator, those who are enrolled or engaged in the RIC syllabus program, foreign licensed architects or foreign architectural degree holders that are looking to pursue licensure in Canada, as well as recently licensed architects, meaning up to 10 years post-licensure. And the other thing is we do have advisory members. So if you are interested in getting involved, or you're not an architect, but you're somehow in an allied profession or involved in the architecture profession, and you do want to get involved with us, we do have advisory members. So this is like a non-voting position, but it's for people who might be engineers, accountants, lawyers, etc., that might have something valuable to share with us and to work with us. So if you are an advisor, we fall under the advisory member category, you definitely for sure reach out to us and see if you want to become a member. And lastly here, just as for the background information, we have a couple of, we have one upcoming event. So the Becoming Architects Virtual Design Jam. So this is an architectural design competition. and wanted to do something a little bit different and fun, and try to have a design competition that engaged everyone together in one environment, but it could be national or international still. And so it's going to be hosted on a Minecraft server, and I'll create teams, come up with some design that addresses the theme of designing in the era of climate change. And just it'll be a kind of an intense 2 days of building your creation in Minecraft. You can come in and out as you want, but it has to be built on that server, and it should be a lot of fun. It's just $50 to register for members, and $100 for non-members, and that's for the whole team. So if you have a team of 4 people, it's the $50 or $100 for the whole team, and we do have cash prizes as well. So it should be a lot of fun. So if you're interested or you want to share that, that'd be really awesome. And so today, as I mentioned, we also have Jacinth and Jacinth and Charlene from the CACB joining us. Jacinth is the coordinator for the BIFA program, and Charlene is kind of the main point of contact for all inquiries for the CACB and its program. So 2 really great people to have here if you have any questions regarding anything the CACB kind of related to their work and your accreditation and academic certification process. Obviously, if you have a question specific about your application, you should probably leave that to a separate conversation with them, but they'll be doing a little presentation now. And if you guys want to just type in your questions that you might have, we'll try to assemble those and pull it up in the Q&A. So Charlene, I'm going to make you the host. That work?
Yep, I got it.
Oh, I think you have to now unmute Jacinth.
There we go. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so I am Charlene Pinetta. I'm the Director of Programs and Operations with the Canadian Architectural Certification Board. We're incredibly grateful to the Becoming Architects Canada group for including us in this evening's event. Thank you very much. And I'll just share, whoops, sorry, that just jumped right to the very end of my presentation. There we go. Our vision, CACB, we seek to broaden and strengthen our role as the primary organization for architectural certification and accreditation in Canada. You can see that our mission is to develop, implement, and maintain programs and standards for certification required for the practice of architecture in Canada. You can see that we have 4 mandates. 3 of them are focused on the programs that we deliver, the first being academic certification, the accreditation program, the broadly experienced foreign architect BIFA program, and then we have a 4th mandate, which is an emerging mandate for the organization, which is focused on research. Well, again, sorry, I'm going to stop clicking there. Not a lot of people know the structure of CACB, so we operate our programs on behalf of 2 member organizations. The first being CALA, the Canadian Architectural Licensing Authorities, and these are all of the provincial regulators across Canada. And our second member organization is the Canadian Council of University Schools of Architecture, CCUSA, and that's the umbrella organization that represents all of the Canadian universities that have architecture degree programs. And as a high level, these are the 3 programs that we operate. We deliver the academic certification program, and that's in accordance with the Canadian Education Standard, which then leads to certification. The BIFA, Broadly Experienced Foreign Architect Certification Program, is assessing work experience and competencies in accordance with the Canadian Standards of Practice. And then the accreditation program, that's the program where we actually conduct the audits at the universities for the architecture degree programs, and it's in accordance with the conditions and procedures for accreditation. And so the academic certification program, as I had mentioned, is looking at academic achievements in accordance with Canadian education standard. We deliver the program, as mentioned, on behalf of our partner, our member organization, CALA. And the program is really to assess educational requirements to ensure that international or even domestic graduates are ready for internship. So once somebody achieves academic certification, they can register at the provincial regulator to start their internship program. This is a very, I'll say simplified view of what our process is for the academic certification program. There are eligibility requirements for each of our programs. And so, we encourage all applicants to have a look at our website, see if you meet those eligibility requirements, and then, submit your application. You can always give us a call or send us an email if you've got questions about eligibility. We then conduct an internal pre-assessment to ensure completeness of an application, that all of the documents are official. We do require official documents, official transcripts, degrees, and if you want to keep the originals, certainly we can accept certified true copies of transcripts and degrees. We also require course outlines. Some people get a bit confused as to what it is that's required in a course outline. And it's the description of the curriculum that was covered. We're also looking for the credits that were awarded as part of the degree. The application then proceeds to an assessment, which takes place on a monthly basis with our assessment committee. And then the outcomes are shared with the applicants. So there's two possible outcomes. It could be that, for the majority of our applicants, they're awarded CACB certification and can proceed to internship. And then for some others, sometimes it's deemed that further studies are what is recommended for the applicant. And the reason for that recommendation is because they want to ensure, again, that international applicants are ready for internship. And so sometimes a course along the lines of professional studies, focused on practicing architecture within a Canadian context, right, it is identified as a further studies requirement for applicants. Here we have just a couple key points about eligibility. I had mentioned it earlier. Certainly, again, it's posted on our website. We're looking for people who have architecture degrees. It could be a bachelor degree or a master's degree. We are looking for a post-professional degree. And so it could be any combination of bachelor or master's. Some countries don't even proceed to the master's degree as a requirement for practicing architecture. So, even if your degree is not at the master's level, we still encourage you to contact us, submit your application, let us have a look at what it is that you have, and we can help you through the process. I've also included on this slide modes of certification. So depending on how it is that an applicant is eligible for our program, they could be entitled, I'll say, to a discounted rate on their application fee for academic certification. So there are some schools that are listed, I'll just highlight here, this Canberra Accord. Canada, CACB, is a signatory of the Canberra Accord Agreement. And so what that program is, it's to encourage mobility of graduates of architecture degrees internationally. And so it's not necessarily an equivalency from country to country, but it's certainly an agreement to help people move from country to country with that academic background. And so again, information listed on our website, but I wanted to share that here with the group. And then now I'll turn things over to Jacinthe Goulet, who is our BIFA Certification Program Coordinator.
You'll have to unmute her because you have host control. You just go to her little box in the top right. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Charlene. Hi. So the BIFA program. The BIFA program is an alternative pathway for Canadian licensure for foreign licensed architects. So your broadly based practical experience in architecture is measured against the Canadian standards of practice. And next slide, please. So the candidate's path is demonstrated here. So you'll see that the program is divided into 3 phases. So of course, there's the eligibility criteria that you must meet to be considered for the program. Then you'll create an online profile, select your Canadian jurisdiction where you wish to hold your license, then submit the required documentation electronically and hard copy. So those are all listed on the website as well. Once admitted into the program, you will be given access to online forms where you'll measure your practical experience against the 12 Canadian competency standards. Your demonstration of competency portfolio will then be reviewed by a panel. This panel is composed of Canadian architects who volunteer their time as program assessors. Once the technical assessment has been completed, you'll be formally invited to interview with your panel. And then the outcomes of your interview will lead you to licensure with your pre-selected Canadian jurisdiction. So going over the eligibility criteria, so the BIFA program's mandatory requirements are the following. So you've been formally educated as an architect, you've practiced as a licensed or registered architect in a foreign jurisdiction, and you've accumulated a minimum of 7 years experience post-licensure in the field of architecture. The 4th criteria is not mandatory to be eligible, so to enter the program, but it must be gained during the 2nd phase of the program, which is the demonstration of competencies. So that criteria is a minimum of 6 months Canadian experience in the field of architecture, personally supervised under a licensed architect, Canadian architect. So of course, you must formally apply to the program to be able to determine your eligibility. So we can't have that conversation over the phone or via email. And next slide. So successful applicants for either academic certification or the BIFA program have, of course, paid their fees, submitted their true certified copies and translations of the required documents, and of course, following the timelines, which is really important to keep you on track with either program. So thank you to BAC for inviting us to present. And this was a very, quick presentation. And of course, we're here to answer some questions if there are any. Thanks.
Okay, and all right. You maybe make me the host again, or do I have it?
Yeah, will do.
Oh.
Hold on one sec.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. All right. Back to our scheduled programming. Okay. So, like I was just mentioning, want to just give a few minutes between the Q&A, between that presentation and the Q&A. So we're going to go over the feedback we had, and then if you guys have questions on that as well, you can also input those for our Q&A session. So yeah, so on the issues, basically a lot of these are from, we had a launch event for the group, and we had breakout sessions where we're talking about, different concerns from different people who would be in our membership, and some of them were foreign trained architects, some were interns, and basically just assembling that, put that into a report that's on our website as well. And we kind of went through that afterwards with this committee and tried to kind of distill what were the main issues from the foreign trained architects that we can address, as well as things that we've heard in the past when as part of the Emerging Practitioners Committee. And we sort of broke it down to these 3 levels. So the national or federal level, provincial or regulatory level. And, oh, sorry, I have educating. So it should be the personal level. Sorry about that. And so these are just some of we were just working in Moreau, so I kind of just clipped straight from there. Basically, we had sort of these 3, well, 2 main points, I would say. Is one was just this general disconnect between the federal and provincial level of governments, as well as kind of a disconnect from the government to the regulators. So, some people were commenting that, when you come in as an immigrant, no one really tells you, from the government that there are provincial regulators that you should be reaching out to. And also just the a concern with using the term architect. That's something that the regulators would definitely tell you if they're using incorrectly, but a lot of people don't realize that, when you come to Canada, that is this protected term, that if you're not registered under one of the provincial territorial regulators, that you're not allowed to actually use that. And then another point that was brought up related to this disconnect was, not really anyone from the profession reaching out right away. So some people just aren't sure where to go and, what really are their options at that point. And the other concern was kind of the job or job opportunities or the information that's given either are completely irrelevant or just not, you don't get anything at all. So there was some comments about, if you come in on if you have an invitation to come or you come on EI, you might, or sorry, it's the same stuff that people give in that were on EI. They just kind of blast you with all this kind of work opportunities that may not be relevant at all to architecture. But at least I guess you're getting some emails about it. And then, but if you come on different method, maybe that you don't get anything from the government. So yeah, maybe there's some way of perhaps addressing that kind of on that, at least noting with the government that these things aren't really helpful, or maybe just providing something in its place in addition to that. And then on the provincial or regulator level, there was most of the comments were kind of pointing out the fact that a lot of these things, that it's once you get into the IAP program, the internship program generally. So at that point, it's the same issues that probably interns will have, just about preparing for the execs and that kind of thing, or difficulty getting hours in certain areas. But there was some comments just about, at least on certain councils, that there was certain clause in the bylaws saying that they don't allow permanent residence, or that you have to be, a Canadian citizen to sit on the council. But I didn't realize this, so just someone had brought it up as, it's a little bit of a, lack of representation, I guess, that could be on the council just because of the way that's written. So maybe there's a way to just address that, or at least bring up that that was a concern raised, and just look at how to get more immigrants or foreign licensed architects to be represented in the regulators on the councils. And actually, I should just say in the last one, there was also a comment just about mentors. So if you do want to find a mentor, some regulators do have lists of people willing to be mentors, but many of them don't. So obviously, if you're new to the country, you may not have a network at all, or no other architects, so that could be a little bit challenging. And I did we had a couple of notes just on that sort of academic certification kind of level I pulled out separately. So really the two comments, and I don't know if these are too specific here, but that we got from our feedback session there was specifically about or when we were reviewing this in our committee, it was specifically about that university calendar. Apparently this was a really difficult one for a lot of people to get. So it's a bit of a sticking point where it could be very challenging to find, that specific calendar for that year. It may not be available anymore. They may not have saved it anywhere, and just that your whole application could be denied for that. So I guess it was just flagged as some issue that's come up for a number of people. And then the other was needing to match the course that falls into certain categories the CACB is asking for. And it's just, I guess, something that's just maybe a little bit challenging at times, just due to the course names may be very different, or maybe they're a mix of certain subjects that are different from what that list was saying. So just, I guess, a bit of a difficulty there. And so on the personal level, so this was, kind of had a lot of different feedback here. So we just broke it down to 5 little steps. So I'm just zooming in here. One was about difficulty getting hired. So this one, a lot of it was to do with just this bias of one between IAP program and BIFA program. It said that a lot of people just don't know what BIFA program really entails, like even architects. And so when people hear that you're in the BIFA program, I guess they just are concerned about what does that mean in terms of your experience level and this kind of thing. And they're just more likely to want to hire someone who's just in the IAP program because they're more familiar with it. So just there seems to be a lack of understanding of BIFA in general. So maybe there needs to be raised awareness about that. And also a lot of firms asking specifically for Canadian experience, in order to hire somebody. So obviously if you're new to the country, that's a challenge, and that can often lead to people just doing work for free because they just really need that experience to be able to just even put on their resume. There was some suggestions about maybe there's a different way to word this of, do you have any, relevant experience with, similar contexts, like similar climates or that sort of thing, or maybe you worked in a firm that's done international work in North America, so you have, kind of worked on projects that are in either North America or a similar context, but you're not, didn't work for a Canadian firm, or perhaps just maybe questions about, are you, familiar with Canadian construction in terms of, wood frame or concrete or whatever it is, and they can speak more to that specifically. And the other one, which this is a bit of an issue for everybody, I'd say, like interns and graduates as well as foreign trained architects, is just preparing resumes and portfolios. That's definitely on our radar, something to try to provide more support for, or kind of tips on or sessions about. But some people had commented that just the approach to, I guess, resumes and portfolios are a bit different in Canada versus some countries. So people might be just not preparing them in the best way to actually, get that call back. And a few other areas here, just the lack of the network and support. This is something I never really thought about, is but there is no mentor in the BIFA program. It's not the IAP program, so it's a little bit different. So perhaps there's a way of maybe even trying to connect BIFA candidates with some kind of informal mentor, and even if it's not part of the program requirements. And also just this lack of clarity about costs, or just the concerns about the costs associated with BIFA or some of the other paths. Like someone was noting, just some of the costs associated with just getting your architecture experience reviewed. It's time-consuming, expensive process, that kind of thing, and the length of time to complete the programs as well. And last, just the lack of understanding of the process in general, and just lack of understanding of how to get started, and what really are the options. So I think there was some my comments here, kind of various things about each of these categories, but unclear about certain mutual agreements. How does that work if you were educated in one country, but then you worked in another country, and or maybe you got educated your master's and undergrad in different places? How exactly does that translate? Just some lack of clarity in some of them, and just the support groups to help answer questions. Apparently there are some groups that have sort of formed for certain countries or certain universities that people have found each other and kind of help each other out, but definitely a lot of people don't know about these, or maybe they don't exist for people from certain countries and whatnot. And so just having some kind of support group or network where they can talk to each other and kind of help each other out. And somebody had brought this up, and actually was looking into it, is that BC has this broadly experienced applicant program that's actually administered by AIBC. And I don't know a lot about it, and maybe Charlene or Yacinth, you know more, but it sounded like it was kind of some sort of support for newcomers to Canada that they kind of administer by the regulator. So maybe there's some opportunity for something similar in other areas. And also just about for technologists. I know that technologists could go on the syllabus path, but is there other options, or what's the kind of path options for technologists as well? And then so for ideas for initiatives based on this feedback, and actually just speaking to you guys, Yacinth and Charlene, you were mentioning about reaching out with the different government structures, so federal and provincial, and trying to connect them. So maybe we can speak to that a little bit in the Q&A, or clarify that a bit. But I know you guys are in the works a little bit about that, but we kind of also identified maybe there's some opportunity to reach out on the government level and see if there's some way of be able to connect with newcomers to Canada in that way. And there's also some idea of maybe making some short videos are kind of like the equivalent of an infographic, but in a couple video format, similar to some of the videos that the federal government does for newcomers to Canada, just about how to get a driver's license and whatnot, but for architects, for little, how do you sign up to become an intern? Okay, here's kind of the step-by-step process, or that kind of thing. And some other ideas. So for the CACB kind of related questions, maybe like honestly, like the kind of the big one is probably just assembling a list of questions if we receive a lot of feedback that there's certain areas that are of particular concern, just kind of relaying that back to you. There was one kind of comment that was given about, I guess there are records of applicants from certain universities of certain years, and then you can actually search to see if they had submitted something, and that can help you in your application process. But if it's from a different year or a different university from the same country, that doesn't necessarily apply, but maybe there's a way of, getting that kind of resource of applicants that you've had to kind of help connect people who might be having, struggling with how to get their information from their university or what have you, to at least maybe connect with people or something like that. And kind of on this personal level, so this is where these ones that are boxed in, these are the ones that the kind of initiatives you want to start up with right away. And so one of them is basically this session was based on this wanting to communicate and help each other out more. So to set up quarterly, or maybe slightly less frequently, or maybe slightly more frequently, meetings with foreign trained architects, and allow people to kind of connect more with each other, and also get some feedback regularly from everyone. And the other thing was just about setting up a chat room or a forum. So that's one thing we do want to get your guys' feedback on, is if we were to do that, what would be the best kind of setup? Is it more of a chat room? Is it more of like a Reddit type forum? Or, what would be the best way to do that? In terms of mentorship, there's many things we could do for that. So we could try to set up those, speed dating type setups where you get to talk to different architects who are interested in becoming mentors, to help them kind of better connect with the right person looking to be mentored, or just assembling some kind of list for people who might be interested in your area. And then with the issues with getting hired, it seemed like just lack of understanding what BIFA is seemed to be an issue. So maybe more kind of raising more awareness about BIFA, and then also just helping with resumes and portfolio. And that's definitely on one of our to-do lists. It's not the first one up, but it's not far behind. So either doing some kind of tips documents or workshops for resumes and portfolios. And for the clarifying the options for the path to licensure, we're working on that now. I was having some back and forth with Cynth and Charlene there about it. Creating a path to licensure diagram. There are ones that exist, like CACB has some, and the regulators have some. So maybe that'd also be a great thing to hear from you guys, is do those ones that exist, is there certain information that's lacking from them, that you want to see, or is it that you just don't know where they are, or is there something that's a discrepancy between them that you want to clarify, or, what is it that's kind of stopping you from understanding what your options are, basically. And so that's our feedback and our ideas from our initiatives. So before we get into our breakout sessions, just want to have the Q&A. So I'll unmute all of you guys. And I'm going to bring up, okay, sorry, apparently I have something from Asana. Asana, did you want to say something? Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
Right. Okay, thanks. When you were talking about mentorship and the challenges that interns and architects educated in other countries, I object to the foreign trained, the whole foreign terminology. I think that's something that we need to work on reframing. It's actually really dismal. OAA is the top regulator among CALA. It's the leader And the mentorship, the list of mentors that they provide to their interns is more than 90% out of date and inaccurate. So it's a seriously dismal situation, even when mentorship is formalized. Woe betide these architects from other countries where they have no mentorship set up in their favor to begin with. So this is a serious area that we should focus on, and I think that we identified that in our report.
Yeah, I guess I was referring specifically to initiatives for this committee. That's not to say that those are initiatives for the, like we do have other committees. I guess I should clarify. We have one for, knowledge, which does include, or I think we have one actually specifically for mentorship, one on knowledge, one on the, media and outreach, and this one for path to licensure. So, mentorship is definitely a key one. It wasn't, I guess, one specifically in this committee, but it is definitely a key one for us.
As you said, these individuals could benefit from a formalized mentorship component.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for questions, I think I only see one here so far, but we can bring it up. So the question was, are we still required to, for the CACB, are we still required to demonstrate participation in a Canadian project in order to be eligible for the self-assessment phase, or the foreign portfolio covering 12 competencies templates would be enough for applying?
So I can go ahead and answer that. So that's for the BIFA program. And yes, you do have to have that minimum of 6 months presented, but we are encouraging everyone to start their 12 competencies, and they are based on your experience that have been all over the world, which also includes Canadian experience. So there's a criteria which goes into a little bit more detail as to where exactly this Canadian experience, where like the hard line of like must have is, and that's before going to interview. So I'm more than happy to connect with the person that asked that question if they want to send me an email or give me a call at any time.
Okay. Does anyone else have a question? I'm not sure how I can undo all of the, let's see if there's a, yeah, I'm not sure if I can do this. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's a question here. Do you have any ratio of what is the most popular option? Is it between like BIFA and CACB and maybe other for foreign trained architects? Or sorry, BIFA versus, I guess, the academic.
Yeah, that's how I understood it. Yeah, that it's BIFA or academic certification. So we certainly have a higher volume of applicants for academic certification in comparison to BIFA, but BIFA is increasingly a growing program for us as we're seeing increased trends in immigration. So yeah, it's definitely a higher ratio for academic certification applicants.
And I think probably part of that is just the requirements to get in there. It's like you need 7 years experience, right? To apply like 7 years of kind of international experience, and then plus the 3 months of Canadian or 6 months of Canadian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, again, different eligibility requirements per program, right? So that's why we encourage people to have a look at our website to see which program it is that they're eligible for, which makes the most sense for them, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, just got a new question. It's how much time does it take to get a response from an application for academic certification, not including from the US?
So typically our applications for academic certification run anywhere between 3 to 4 months. We did have a bit of a delay in our processing during the pandemic because we had limited access to the office and delays from Canada Post and couriers and all that. But we're still hovering around the 4 months mark. So, oops, I can see in the chat again, similar to as Just Science said, I'd encourage that person to contact me directly and I can inquire and look into their file. Certainly reach out to me directly and I'd be happy to help.
Okay. Okay, another question here is, if we are asked to do a course to supplement the knowledge, is it done at a university? Or is there maybe other options of where you could do those courses?
Yeah, so this was, as I shared earlier in the academic certification program, one of the possible outcomes is for an applicant to be, stated that they should complete further studies. And the courses can be, the one that we identify in our outcome letter is actually the courses that are provided through the RAIC syllabus program. What we ask applicants to do is to actually contact CACB and ask for pre-approval, so that approval prior to registering for the course, because there are other options. It doesn't only have to be through the RAIC syllabus program. It could be through your local university. It could be an online course through University of Toronto or University of British Columbia, but that has to be pre-approved because we want to ensure that that course meets the same requirements.
Someone's asking if your application is taking more than 4 months. Is that a bad sign?
No. No, don't take that as that at all. We have a high volume of applicants, so we're just getting through all of them.
Okay. And does the co-op program, like BIM management, can give me experience for Canadian? Okay, a co-op program in something like BIM management can give me experience, eligibility of Canadian experience. Not quite sure if I understand the question, but maybe Ahmed, if you want to clarify that one. And then, so the next one is, can I have access to emails from professionals specialized in these processes? Where can I find out more access to official information? Well, I guess if you mean specific to these programs, you definitely should contact CACB. So the two people who are here on the phone, that's what your question is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so someone has a question of their work permit visa prohibits them from studying, or I guess maybe applying to the universities. Do you recommend to wait to obtain permanent residence status in order to apply to start the process?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The recommendation is indeed to wait until you have your permanent resident status.
Mm-hmm. So if the question is kind of related to one of my points there about difficulty getting hired. So if you're having difficulty getting hired by a Canadian firm, is there other options for how to get Canadian experience? I don't know if you can answer that, but
no, unfortunately, CACB can't speak to employment. It's not within our mandate or our scope. It's unfortunately not anything that we can assist with, really.
Mm-hmm.
We encourage people certainly to contact their local employment agencies and reach out to other support networks and resources within their community.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then just one question for us about we're talking about well, the portfolio review and that kind of thing to address some of these I guess hiring concerns. We definitely do want to organize something. We don't have something totally set up yet, and when that would happen. But and we're kind of looking at different ways of doing that as well, whether it's like a live session to maybe discuss people's resumes, and people can send them over and we kind of review them, or it could be like a list of kind of tips of what you should keep in mind. So we're kind of looking at options for that now. So we don't have anything set up yet for like a date for that or anything, but definitely I'll keep you guys in the loop.
We are working on the portfolio and resume workshop with
Okay.
some people who have reached out to us. And we also have ideas about helping you find jobs so that you can get that Canadian experience. So we can figure out a way to formalize that, Xenia, that communication.
Okay. Oh, what? Now I'm starting to get a bunch of questions coming in. How are we for time? I guess we'll have maybe like a couple more questions and then we'll head over to the breakouts. Okay, I think some of these questions maybe are not so related to the to CACB. There were some questions about internship program and fees and stuff like that. I mean, that definitely, I think you have to, discuss to your regulator about the fees and costs for IAP program. And, there are, I believe there's a certain amount of hours that you're allowed to have logged when you are doing your, if you're during your university. I'm not sure if that really transfers over to international experience. So I think you'd have to discuss that with the regulators, but.
I can see a question here with regards to online application versus the PDF version. And so I believe that's for the academic certification program. And I'll just clarify that there's no need to do it twice. I'm not sure how that's come up as a question, but it's literally, you can do the online application or you can do the hard copy paper version and mail that into us. So it's one or the other. There's no need to do both.
Okay, great. Oh, I guess about the program. So there was a question about if you have an older version of the university's program, will that help review the process? But I believe you need it from the specific year that you.
Yeah, and you had mentioned it earlier in some of the feedback that you had garnered from a previous event. And so with our online application for academic certification, we do provide a link for applicants to search through a database of older calendars that we have received from previous applicants. So have a look through the online application and it's sorted by country and then by school and by years. And if your calendar is there, then you simply need to include a document that identifies that calendar sits already within our database. And so that absolutely can help to facilitate the process to be a bit quicker because you no longer need to provide your own course calendar. We already have it in our database.
But it would have to be the same year for the same.
It has to be, right? Absolutely. It has to be the same years that you completed your degree.
Okay. Okay. Okay, these last couple of questions, I'm not entirely sure of the questions. I had split between survival studies and during the university, and by the end of the course, my GPA wasn't the best. Oh, can a low GPA affect application for academic certification?
We're not looking at grade point average. We're we're not assessing whether or not you are a good student. It's the fact that you have the degree. It's the fact that you completed the studies. And so we're looking at credit hours that were awarded. We're looking at subject areas and curriculum that was covered. Whether you got an A or you just passed, that's not really what we're looking at.
In terms of that database you're mentioning, do you know where on this, is that on just directly on the CACB website? Or?
Yeah, it's on the website. And if you look at the online application for international, there's a link there and it says course calendars. I can find it for you, certainly.
Okay.
But we have it there. It's part of the application process.
Okay, awesome. I think that's most of the questions, at least that I could understand the questions from. Let's see here, last one. Getting certification. Working year, I have a working remotely from Toronto-based architecture. Okay, maybe that's a question, is if you work remotely for a Canadian firm, would that count as a Canadian experience?
So this is a question that has been asked recently. And for the BIFA program, as long as you are supervised under a Canadian licensed architect, then absolutely, that counts as your experience. All
right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. I think that's the time we have for this, and then we'll go into our breakout sessions. But definitely, if everyone has any more, ideas for like feedback on anything you've heard in terms of what kind of initiatives we can move forward with, keep those for the discussion. And if you have any specific questions for CACB, you can always reach out to them directly. So thanks a lot, guys, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a great evening, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so for everybody else, you want to form just a few breakout rooms here. I'm going to do that right now. So like we mentioned, the whole point of the breakout sessions is really just to talk about the feedback that that we've gotten so far, that we've gone over in our presentation, as well as some of the ideas that we have for initiatives, and just see if, you know, if what we are looking at focusing on, does that seem to make sense as, you know, kind of good places to start, or is there some other areas that you think are more key to address right away? And in terms of some of the ideas that we have, just feedback in terms of how we can implement them. You know, for example, that forum idea, is there a certain platform you think that would work, or a certain kind of, you know, chat or forum setup that you think would be the best for getting in touch with each other and sharing information? And yeah, any other comments about how you think these ideas could be implemented, and then other just challenges that you face and concerns that you have that you want to share, so that we can see if we should you know, put some new initiatives together to address those. So I'm going to make out some breakout rooms. Let me 5 breakout rooms, and I'm going to put it to let participants choose rooms. Open all rooms. Here we go. So did this work? Are you able to see the rooms? I don't know what this looks like to you guys. Ah, okay, I see some people joining the rooms. So Asana, do you want to go to room 1? Patrick, room 2.
I'm missing something. I don't see the rooms.
There are breakout rooms on the bottom.
Bottom of your
Sorry?
screen. I think at the
Where?
bottom of your screen you should have breakout rooms.
Oh yeah, okay, thank you. Room number 1. Okay, got it.
Okay. All right, awesome. And then yeah, Patrick, do you want to go to room 5? See a couple people there.
Sure, I can go to room 5.
Okay. And then Sogol, you can go to room 2. And then Graham, you can go to room 3. Okay. And does everyone know how to go to the rooms? You're able to unmute yourself now, by the way, if anyone wanted to.
I just would like to ask what is the room it would be the BIFA coordinator in.
They had to leave, actually. So they were only here. That's why we had the Q&A session just now, so that they could answer any questions before they had to head out. Sorry about that. I know they're in high demand. So if everybody else, if you want to choose maybe room 2 or 3. Okay, I'll just go into room 3, so I don't see anyone in there. And so yeah, everyone else can go to room, any of the other rooms. Room 2 is pretty empty right now. I'm gonna move over there.
Program after 4 months of
Not
applying?
really. So I've sent out my documents are still on the way. I had my George Brown certificate to be sent, but I think there are, you know, as they said, there are some struggles with the Canada Post or something. So I'm still waiting. So my question was, if we are to apply and then waiting for 4 months, are those 4 months going to be considered as an intern if approved? That was my question.
Yeah, that question is for OAA. I send them the same. I'm gonna send them the same question because I am working as an architectural designer slash drafter right now. So is that like, are those hours part of the program or not? I've heard a lot that OAA does not take that into account. The day you apply and pay the fees online, which is 1,000, I think, 1,100 or $1,100.
Something, yeah.
1,800 is the application for the CACB. 1,100 is the application for the OAA. They're both different.
Okay.
So once you you get your CACB certification, that is not being registered for OAA. That's just a document you take and you go to OAA's website and apply for the internship program, which happens online automatically. And I think it takes like 2 days for you to get a fully internship document, and you start filling out hours. So I think that question is for OAA, if they can backtrack hours since you're already working as an architect or at least an intern or a designer.
I see.
Okay. Is that right, Ksenia?
I wasn't quite sure what the question was.
It's about backtracking hours because we're still in processing. So those 4 hours we're working and we're doing design and we're doing those like internship hours. Will they be counted through the internship program, or they will not consider that until the day you are fully registered in the internship program?
I know there's like, it used to be that you could backtrack pretty far, like, you know, years back and stuff like that. And then they updated it to, I'm not sure what it is now, but I know it's like, it's not as much as it used to be, but I don't know if it's so tight that, you know, if you were working for a few months, if you wouldn't be able to apply that or not. I mean, honestly, you could probably just like email them now, even if you haven't heard back from CACB, just to ask the question, you know.
I do think CACB is the ones who are going to answer. It's the OAA.
That's what I mean. Like like even if you haven't gotten your response from CACB yet, just you could just email, you know, and ask the question to the OAA of like, okay, you know, how far back can I, you know, if I'm working right now, you know, how far back from when I start getting registered can I log?
Yeah,
because that will help a lot. I know Ammar is also has been working for over 2 years, right?
I'm 8 years here so far in Canada. Maybe
8 years. Oh.
And I mean, I'm working in Stantic right now. I recently joined, and then they're pushing for the license, at least as an internship, so I can, you know, practice my hours toward the management, design management mainly. So yeah, I'm just curious about the timeline I should be telling them so I can be licensed there. At least, you know, be approved to practice the, you know, the architecture.
Yeah.
But I did not have time before to apply. I was maybe a bit lazy so far.
Okay, maybe just to ask, just about in terms of feedback. So the 3 things that we were kind of working on right now that we thought that would be helpful as well as easy to set up relatively quickly was this path to licensure diagram. We are working on that now. You know, setting up sort of regular meetings, and then that chat room idea. So for the chat room, this, like, the thing I'm mainly wondering is, what do you think would be most useful just in terms of connecting with people? Do you think it's like a forum type setup? Is it, you know, chat room? Is it like these multiple rooms that are, you know, broken up by your country, or is it just based on, you know, where people are living now, you know, where they're working now, like, or what, you know, what would that look like?
Good question. Well, I think there's a group called SPAN. Maybe you've heard about it. It's mainly Syrian, Jordanian, you know, country-wise. It's a WhatsApp group. I personally know about this group work in from that WhatsApp. And then, you know, we do have some sort of an application. It's called Slack, where
Yeah.
we have all the files there. If somebody wants any feedback from anyone else, that they can talk along. But I think it's limited to country-wise, in a way.
It was not very effective. Like they started with a WhatsApp group, and it was too crowded because all the contexts were in one place. And if somebody starts a question, everybody loses track of what's going on. It's just social stuff. And then they stopped allowing people to talk on WhatsApp and moved to Slack, but Slack is not easy to navigate, and it's not like interactive as WhatsApp is. I really think if you create some type of rooms in your website, which is the BAC-DAC website, that is dedicated for a topic, and it will have like decide in category, like major categories. Like the licenseship program will have its own category, like internship, finding a job, its own category, and we can go there. The forms could be, I really like the idea of being able to talk to someone like this in person. So it's nice to have like, you have a lot of volunteers, so someone could post a question and someone would reply, or they would have like an open discussion type of thing, like a Zoom meeting that anybody who wants to go in can go to. It's just, I don't know, so hard to do something interactive and easy to go to and easy to search for at the same time. So
yeah, like I think yeah, that sort of setup is sort of that Reddit style like forum, and we were kind of thinking maybe that would make sense, but then it's less, probably less interactive, like you say. It's less of a chat room immediately talking to people, and it's more of, okay, we'll have a topic, and then people can comment on topic, but then it's less maybe chaotic. You don't have people talking about social stuff, usually anyway, on like a forum.
it ends up like that anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, Slack even can, like, that could be a problem. Like, I know for some groups I've been a part of, like we have a Slack group, and we kind of break it up by categories and stuff, but and it works pretty well. But sometimes that can happen too. People start chatting about one topic way too much into one channel, and clogging it up. But okay, so then it seems like maybe more about topics rather than trying to find people from like your area or like your university or your country. It's better maybe to like break it down by overall topics.
Yeah, I have a small suggestion. When I started to look for the internship, I was going through the YouTube, writing the topic and then getting to know if someone had this experience before, and then jumping into the other topic. But as you said, it's more chaotic than getting to know exactly what to do. Maybe doing some YouTube thing, like on your website, like video wise, how someone have an example of from the start up until the exact time when we do the tests there, and then how we can go from there. Yeah, maybe an interview with people, more welcoming for newcomers, to get to know that this is the website they need to go for.
So you were searching on YouTube for information?
Yeah, I found a couple of videos, like they were very helpful, but a lot of chit chat, subjects outside, yeah.
But if, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, there was one style of tutorials that I really, really liked. At the beginning, when SketchUp was out, Google started something like a 1 minute to 4 minutes maximum on specific topics. So for example, that's very nice in YouTube. You can actually create playlists. So you will have 1 minute or 2 minutes to talk about the CACB, 1 minute and 2 minutes to talk about the BIFA program.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of time, but honestly, YouTube is the easiest to search for. It's the easiest to jump from one topic to the other because it always suggests videos that are continuous. And if you can create like this playlist about getting licensed, a playlist about finding a job, a playlist on YouTube, and it's nothing is longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah, and we were thinking of that, like, you know, talking
Yeah.
about that, of doing little videos, you know, short videos. And, you know, once Hassan kind of brought that up, I'm like, that actually would be really good, because people are much more likely to like watch a quick video than they are to read a big document, you know?
Yes, yes. And you could have like this full session about frequently asked questions, like FAQ. Like anyone who sends a question to BAC-DAC in their email or their form, you don't reply on the form, you just give a link to a video that explains it, because some of us like to listen to these things while we're working. It's way easier to get back to it. Also, YouTube gives you the chance to break out the video into segments. So you'll have the topics at the description box, and it just shows. It's really, really helpful. You could watch a 2-hour tutorial, and it will have in the description which segments you want to jump to. And it's way easier than a forum and where you have to read, or the information is not relevant, or you reply and then somebody replies and you don't know which answer was the correct one, or if somebody had the right answer to begin with. Yeah, YouTube, as Ammar said, it's the easiest to search for, and everybody goes there. So
then in terms of like networking stuff, what would you guys be wanting, like, who would you be wanting to meet with? Like, do you want to find more people who are like in your position to get help with? Are you trying to find people that you can potentially get a job from? Like, what would be the kind of goal of like a networking session, let's say?
I think we architects, we have our own people, right? We always socialize together. We always understand each other, right? So I'm guessing it depends on the stage I'm in right now. So it's like I'm for sure I'm gonna go with someone who's working as an internship right now, getting more information from his side, and then afterward I'm gonna meet more architects there, right? Maybe for a job, or maybe for you know, a freelance or something like that. Maybe more for you know, technology wise. But I think it's nice to have meetings online, getting to know the profession we have, what's the update, especially with the OAA regulations that keeps updating. Yeah, sort of, you know, depends on the age we are in right now. We start to socialize together. Like right now there is the BIM management thing going, like you know, everybody wants to know what's BIM and some stuff. So you would find something on YouTube for BIM management. You'd find something, let's say, on the WhatsApp group for BIM management. So it depends on what's really trendy right now. Yeah, that's mainly what drives me to participate.
And do you think like having these sort of quarterly check-in feedback session, is that useful, or would it be better to just get like feedback in another way, like through those forums or something like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would go for a forum for more, you know, precise information, rather than, you know, word of mouth and like, you know, getting exactly what I need. I should be going to, I should reach OA, for example, or CACB, but that answer is not there all the time, right? So I would find more on the forum. But when I socialize, I get more information, to be honest, like, right? Yeah.
maybe also, I'm not sure why this is not allowed in Canada, doing volunteer work for architects, like drafting or something.
It's supposed to be kind of to protect. I mean, that's the idea, is because you know, there's a lot of places where people work for free and get kind of taken advantage of, basically. And so I was trying to. Oh, Andreas, are you in? I saw you on mute. Hello, Andreas.
Hello.
Aha.
Yeah, I wanted to say something, but please, I don't know, say that I was talking. So,
Okay.
well, yeah, no. First of all, hello. Yeah, just heard of it, this group, and definitely, I was just about to become a member now, looking
Oh,
through
nice.
the webpage. So maybe today or tomorrow signing. Just good to complement like the social part. I teach architecture, and one of the parts that I do it, or one of the reasons that I do it, is because it's fun. As Amar said, it's we architect love like talking to each other, like look at this project. So one of the part could be like criticizing, obviously friendly, like some projects, like submit your project and we'll talk about it. I don't know. I like how you done that part. Maybe this could be improved or something, like bring that university experience, the workshop or architecture being like in school, but more in a high level. So I think that will be a nice opportunity to socialize and obviously know. And obviously, if you record this in a YouTube channel, that will improve, like, I don't know, the viewership or something, and obviously the awareness of this foundation.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good idea. And we one of the RIC conferences I went to, there was this design group. I'm forgetting their name. Dang it. Anyway, they were actually like a group in Winnipeg that was not just architects, but like different designers and stuff in the community. And they set up all these events during the conference. And one of them was crit sessions, but they were for like actual buildings by like, you know, big wig architects. And they presented theirs like as a studio crit, you know, they put the boards up and then everybody, all these architects got to like, you know, discuss and crit their project. So I thought that was pretty cool. And also putting you know, kind of the bigger named architects kind of in that same position that like a student is in is kind of interesting.
Yeah. And also, I think that one of the things that architecture is cool and we sometimes forget, obviously, when we are tired with work and everything, is like to keep in trend. So when you see what others are doing, you like keep in trend. I was like, you always try to find magazine, like famous Pinterest or something like that, but it's not enough. Pinterest just throw you images, but doesn't tell you what's being done on Canada. Or so maybe sometimes we'll see, well, we're seeing that on West Canadian are doing a lot of these things. So that's like, to see the trends, for me, it's pretty good experience.
Okay, and then maybe though one other thing for feedback was about the path of light to licensure. So like I mentioned, we are working on, like we actually have a, you know, draft of a path diagram that we were working with CACB on. But I just wanted to kind of get feedback from you guys of, I'm not sure if you guys personally have those questions still about, you know, what the whole path is like. Maybe you've already figured that out at this point, but what was initially, at least, let's say, the biggest challenge? Was that you couldn't find something that easily explained what the different options were? Or was it that the information you were given was too vague or confusing, or, you know, something like that?
Well, I haven't started the process yet. I'm here in Canada like for 3 months, and I actually hope to start the process, or I thought about it too, that I should start the process, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years into the country, but my boss really wants me to get licensed. So that's like, he's encouraged me to go through the process. The main architect has also encouraged me. There's another colleague who is also starting the process. So when I started looking through the process, I think the most difficult part is that the CACB webpage, at some point, it's not clear on the details of sub-documents. So basically it says syllabus, and actually I was talking to my university, and she was the girl in the university was, that's so extensive, it's not specific. So it might be like the same orientation as like these videos, could be like examples specifically of a syllabus, or what, like I don't know, I imagine a paper, and you should have in the paper that point and specifically or some words, some to be more clarity in regards of the certification.
You know, maybe you said something that was really, really nice when you said CACB should have categories for people from the same country or same university, because the main issue when getting licensed in Canada is not knowing where we categorize ourselves. Like, I don't know which group I fit with. Even within my country, people who graduated from this university have different experience with CACB than people who graduated from this type of, because every university teaches courses differently. Some of them take architectural engineering, some of them architects, some of them designers, and the easiest would be is not to create this huge groups of what type of degree you have. It's by university. So if CACB, other than giving us this course or explaining how to register, they ask every applicant from a certain university if you want to be like a volunteer, for example, so we can put your name under this list after they get licensed, if people can contact you for any questions or for any files. That would be really great. Like, I'm pretty sure a person who graduated from my university knows how to get the syllabus, even if it's a different year. So if I agree to put my name in the CACB website for any student who graduated from University of Jordan, I'll be more than happy to help them and direct them at least to the right website.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Okay. And then just if you were to get a path to licensure diagram, is there certain information that like you want to see, or that was maybe unclear to you that you want, some visual diagram?
Well, I saw the sheet that you prepared. The directions were very nice. The explanation was very short and nice, but I would really love to see, I saw also pricing, which is good, but add links, hyperlinks. If it's a PDF to everything, just add hyperlinks so people can jump to the website and come back. Also, if we can have like this huge library of documents and books that we're supposed to have. We're trying to help each other, and a lot of people from SPAN sent me some of the books required for exact exam, but it would be nice to have them, in a place, even if it's out of date documents, just to read them and get the grasp of the idea of what the exam will be and what should we read. And
yeah, probably the only difficulty with that is like, I don't know if there's some issue with us purchasing one and sharing with people. If I'm not sure, but I do, like, I was just in a call, for example, with ORSA, like the Ottawa Society of Architects, and they're looking at having a physical library, like for, interns and stuff in Ottawa, and, getting the resources for that. So maybe it's more about, maybe we could talk to some of the local associations too, of like having some physical places where we can have some resources, because I'm just not sure if it works, because like generally those things are tied. Like if you buy some electronic copy, you're not supposed to like, send it off to someone else or whatever. I'd have to see what the details are.
Current one. Even just a previous copy. We just want to understand what the books are talking about, the structure of the content, all of these details. So I'm pretty sure the libraries also help with that. I once asked them if I want a specific book for architecture, and they said they can do what they can to provide it. So I'm not sure if like Ontario libraries or, general libraries help.
Well, actually, just an experience that I had here, like I'm a pretty good study person. So the first week I got here, and I got my library card and went to the library, asked for the MBC code, and they didn't have it. They said that each time they just purchase a new copy, a physical copy, people just take it out and never return it, or they tear out, they tear out the pages. So they get like, oh, I missed this section, so they take it out and never return.
I mean, that said, that there are free PDF versions of the code, so we could. That's probably one thing we could do, is just link to all the things that are free, and like and actually the exact website generally has links to a lot of the places where you get them. But if there's some that they don't have a link to, maybe we can be like, hey, here's links to those other ones that they didn't mention. But yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. Like I just would have to look at the details of like what are we allowed to share and what we're not allowed to share or whatever for that. But let's go to the main room. How do I do this?
A quick question, just a technical question. If I pay the fee, like annual fee, it will renew if I pay it today, it will renew next year at this day, or it would just last until December?
Yes. So if you buy it now, and I felt like we mentioned that on the website, but maybe we didn't. But it will be till the end of next year, so December 2022.
No, I was thinking like the membership for a month.
Yeah, no,
so-
I was like, yeah, I'm like, okay, make sure that it's 2022.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll meet you in the break room.
Yes.
Thanks.
Let's go to the main room.
That's right.
Hi, Ksenia.
Yeah. Anyway, I have to introduce myself. I'm Shaheen. I'm from Iran. I'm an intern architect in Moncton, New Brunswick. I came to Canada January 2019. I studied here organizational management for about a year, and after that, I was hired by an architecture firm. Since then, I'm an intern architect. I'm recording my hours, and then I'm preparing for the exam for next year.
We're going to have an exec study support session in early 2022, and it's going to be the final project section for anyone writing exec.
Yeah, I was asking Sogol if there is any forum or any Telegram channel that I can join and get the benefit from it.
Ksenia can tell you about that.
Yeah, and I just paid the membership of BAC, and I noticed I'm the 5th member probably.
Of BAC-DAC?
Yeah.
Ksenia, you're muted.
Oh, bad. Sorry, my bad. Actually, let me just, I'm gonna try muting you, Afsana. There's a lot of feedback. Let me just, good. Okay, you can unmute yourself when you want to talk. Yeah, so just that was one of our initiatives we wanted to focus on for sure. Like it was that path to licensure diagram, having some kind of a feedback networking session, and then getting some kind of forum in place. And so that was one thing we just definitely wanted everyone's feedback on, was just, what format that should be. Is it more of a chat room, Slack kind of a setup, or more of a like Reddit style, where it's like talk about different topics? I mean, obviously both of them would be split into different topics, but is it more of a chat room setup or more of a forum setup? And yeah, actually, do you want to just share what we've talked about in each room? Maybe Patrick, do you want to just share what you guys discussed?
A lot of the conversation focused a little bit on the sort of needing some resources to help with resume and portfolio building. We had Sia.
Could you speak up, Patrick? I can't hear you.
Sorry. Is this a little bit better? Okay, yeah, I could see my microphone bar moving up. So we had Samia in our group, who was very kind to kind of share her experiences about working through her resume first coming to Canada, and some of the resources that she utilized to help develop that. So there was talks about using the YMCA to help initially develop the resume, but there was another group called JVS in Toronto that helped sort of tailor the resume and portfolio to the Canadian market. And there's maybe an opportunity for us to look into helping people or guide people to these resources that currently exist, and maybe even hosting some info sessions to just simply how to set up your resume or your portfolio for the Canadian market. There was talks about maybe less renderings were preferable to Canadian employers, and more technical drawings, and some of the realities that came to be. there's a highlight also on some software training, looking into like what software Canadian employers are looking into, and maybe there's something we can do with that. And that was where most of the conversation and sort of the opportunities came out from our group. And if I missed anything, if anybody wants to speak up, please do. But I think that was sort of a good resume of a lot of the conversation. You're still muted, Ksenia.
Oops. Okay, Sogol, do you want to share what you guys talked about?
Yeah. So we talked about different situations. Some of them was about IAP. Someone mentioned that the salary for an intern is less than a drafter, and there is no information about the hourly wage for interns in different provinces. And other thing was that someone mentioned that the salary for a licensed architect with 10 years of experience is 75K, and it's not tempting to get licensed for them. And some people asked for about the portfolio format for applying for CACB, and about the if you finished your degree later than you were supposed to, like if it was a 4-year program, you finished it in 5 years, which calendar you should be using, and if you can apply just with a bachelor's degree. And about BEFA, they said that it's too expensive and it's not worth going through the path. So that was all.
Okay. Interesting. I think BEFA might be less, I think it's actually less expensive than the other path. I could be wrong when we were looking at that recently.
They said that it's 7,000, I think.
Oh, was that versus, maybe I'm confusing the two of them then. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, Afsana?
How about someone from my room talks? Any volunteers that you want to talk about summary of our conversations? Ola Kunle, I see you. Rita, no takers? Okay, I'll talk. The main thread of discussion was the difference and the pros and cons between going the CACB approach versus the BIFA approach. And Yvonne shared that at her school, the recommendation had been to go the CACB approach because you get Canadian experience, the benefit of, being in this country and working per our standards and customs. There's a lot of frustration around the duration of the time to go through either process, the uncertainty, the relevance, and is it worth it at the end of the day? And also, one person who's coming to Canada in a year wanted to know what he could do in the meantime to get a jump on things. And we talked about the fact that there was a lot, in fact, that he could do. Most importantly, he could start getting Canadian experience by starting to shadow with a firm. And my firm is one that offers that option to the extent that we have capacity. And he can apply for CACB, he can start studying for EXAC, he can start networking, growing his web, etc. I think those were the highlights. Ahmed, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. Maybe I have highlighted that I have already applied in 2 passes in CACB and in BIFA, but the problem is that I cannot find any job since 1 year because all employers are requiring a Canadian experience. Actually, I'm licensed in another 4 countries. I have applied in both programs or in both paths in order to find any way or any opportunity to get back in the track. But I cannot I cannot find a Canadian project to get enrolled in. But you know, because the employers I needed only Canadian experience. Sometimes after the interview, after going through all technical questions and answers and giving them or demonstrate the proficiency in some programs or softwares, and simply in the end of the interview, okay, we are sorry, you don't have a Canadian experience. So how can I fulfill all these requirements, covering 12 areas of competency plus Canadian project in BIFA path, or counting hours as intern architect when I cannot find a Canadian experience or I cannot find an employer? So this was my question actually.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'll give a little summary of what I've discussed. I'm just gonna mute there. Okay. So yeah, so the main feedback. We talked about a lot of those different initiatives and sort of thoughts on them. So for the chat room versus the forum idea, they said you know, there were some groups that had used WhatsApp and Slack, but I guess WhatsApp after a while started getting too crowded, and then they moved over to Slack. But I guess found it a little bit more hard to navigate, not quite as interactive. Maybe having a forum type setup, at least from what we discussed, could be better, just so you can, you know, split the discussions a little more clearly. You know, have topics on, you know, was it finding a job or what, you know, working through the application process, etc. And then maybe we can have a volunteer that sort of mediates and sees if there's any questions that come out of those sessions that we can then respond to, or those forums. In terms of getting information out there, they also were suggesting things like little videos, and I guess YouTube. Some people in the room were mentioning that they actually went to YouTube to try to find information for a lot of things, even professionally related. So if we had like a YouTube presence, that could help, or just have YouTube videos and then have a little series of like playlists on certain topics that are each just a couple of minutes long. That might be a good way of kind of then talking about, okay, what is the syllabus path? Have a little video, you know, what is what's involved with, you know, applying for the IAP program, etc. And then yeah, just for feedback, you know, sharing information with each other. It'd be good to have a kind of mix of forum and in-person stuff, well, in-person / Zoom stuff to talk with each other. And there was a bit of a talk of you know, just doing stuff that are, I guess, fun. That, you know, architecture, the whole point of why you wanted to become an architect to begin with is, you know, just passionate about it and finding design really interesting. So, you know, maybe there's could also be some opportunity to look at more technical stuff or more design related aspects as well with regards to foreign trained architects. And, you know, maybe you could create each other's work, or bring in more of a kind of university type experience. And also talk about technical aspects as well. You know, if there's certain areas that people want to be more versed in, like if it's BIM or, you know, maybe building envelopes or what have you. Maybe set up some sessions for those. And I think the only other thing was just about the path to, well, also about the help with the finding work and jobs. Maybe if there's certain software that everybody needs to know, providing some sessions on that. as well as there seems to be more of, oh, sorry, that was what Patrick was mentioning. Sorry, I'll go back to the path diagram. I was trying to ask if there was certain things that were lacking with existing diagrams, or maybe it was just a difficulty finding information of what the various paths are, or, you know, what is the challenge there with not understanding what the options are. And again, I guess there were some suggestions of perhaps those videos could be helpful for that. Also providing links if we do have some sort of diagram, you know, links to the various places you go to find more information or costing information. And, you know, having that, you talked about CACB, having that, you know, that list of people who've already applied before. Maybe there's a way of connecting people, you know, who've already been to your same university, or maybe you're just from the same country, to then connect with you to like help you out a bit. Yeah, that's what we discussed.
Feels like a really good session.
Yeah. Okay. Just in terms of moving forward then, so as we were kind of mentioning, the ones that we had highlighted to start off with for this committee for the initiatives was setting up sessions like this, doing some kind of forum, and doing a path to licensure diagram. Maybe just while we're all here together, does that sound about right? And then we also talked about the mentorship, that, you know, we have a focus on like committee specifically for that, to address that. And we're also looking at addressing the resume portfolio issue as well. So do those, I guess, kind of 5 areas that sound like a good place to start, or do you think that there's something maybe we're missing here to be addressing right away? And you're all able to unmute, by the way. It's not stopped anymore. So I'm getting that we're doing it perfectly and nothing needs to change. Is that? Got it.
Oh, Ksenia.
Can I add a
7, 8 years and we're perfection now.
Oh wait, oh sorry, Sajida, yes.
It's just we started talking about it in our group, but then sidetracked. But is there a way for the number of us who don't have neither like a Canadian experience or a work or opportunity to do some volunteer work, or at least get involved in some projects with anyone who has an office? Like, let's say an hourly rate, like if an architect or an office requires some drafting skills for a short period of time, that we can actually use that experience in our CVs or when we apply for something. I know for sure a lot of us are fine with working for no money just to get that Canadian experience, or at least have something to put on our resume. So is there a way to do that without, you know, breaking the code of not being paid or volunteering in an architectural, you know, concept or architectural firm?
Yeah, Sana, did you want to say
I
something
made
to that?
sense.
Yeah, I get the question. Yeah.
Definitely. First and foremost, never ever work for free. Don't devalue yourself and the profession. Let's respect each other and ourselves more. Secondly, you can shadow. There are many firms that offer it. My firm, Envision Design Limited, is one.
Shadow? Can you explain what shadowing is?
It's when I give you a redacted project documentation and you follow along and I supervise you and I sign off on your hours and you get Canadian experience. And we do that at Envision to the extent that we have capacity. We have one person doing it now. Several people from my room are interested in doing it, and they're going to connect and send their CVs and portfolios to me and CC Sogol. I put both of our emails in the general chat. So we feel like we owe it to the profession to help grow it and maintain it in every way that we can.
You know what might be a good idea too is perhaps we can try to create some kind of directory, let's say, of people who are in certain areas. So like, for example, in Ottawa, like it's not a huge architectural community. Like there definitely is an architectural community, but like honestly, it's always kind of a challenge to find people who are here, you know, who are maybe we need somebody for a couple months, let's say a firm needs help right away. Maybe it would probably be really helpful both for the firm and for the people looking for work to be like, here's a list of, you know, architects or, you know, foreign trained architects, interns who are in Ottawa, you know, who are looking for some work. And then, you know, sharing that with the local firms and do that for, you know, various cities across the country. That would probably be a really good idea, because then I think there's a lot of people who are looking for, oh, we need some help with rendering, you know, occasionally, or there's a high demand for project load for a certain period of time.
Well, for us, for our purposes, we're not restricted to any geography. Anyone, anywhere on the planet can be connected via the internet, so they don't have to be in Canada for us to give them a shadowing opportunity.
I guess I'm just thinking for firms who, like other firms, let's say, for finding opportunities, that might be a good idea, like kind of having some kind of directory of local people who have certain skills, you know?
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree 100%.
Okay, but yeah, we can look into that.
We're at 8:45.
All right.
Can we post the link to BAC-DAC? Because
yes.
people are asking about the events and
So it's the membership page, and the news page is where the events are.
Well, and can we plug O Planet, Ksenia?
I just want to say I'm excited for the event, and if anybody's interested in making a team with me, just chat.
Yeah.
Like the Minecraft game.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
She's just a big gamer, so she'd be a good asset.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And it's you know, not a lot of, it's actually not a huge fee to register, and pretty good cash prizes. We got like first, second, and third place prizes, and you know, it's just one fee for the whole team. So I think it'd be a lot of fun, and yeah, good opportunity to have a big design event together.
Am I gonna do my own O Planet plug?
Sure.
Well, O Planet is a sponsor and partner of BAC-DAC, and we are underwriting the design competition, and the kickoff for the design competition coincides with our fundraising event Friday, December 17th. On Saturday, the competition continues. Ksenia's gonna find ways to share and broadcast the progress and to compare notes. And then on Sunday, we have the launch event and the culmination of the competition. And did we say that the winners would be vote only, or there would be a jury as well? I don't remember that.
I believe first and second will be like a vote of everybody who's participating. So you don't vote for your own, but you can vote for others. And then the third place will be a jury of O Planet and BAC-DAC directors.
Yeah, so lots of fun things, lots of relevant, worthwhile, you know, gets us where we live things.
And yeah, just for any events that are coming up, we do have an Instagram account as well. Just gonna put it here. Instagram is this. So yeah, we post about our upcoming events and whatnot there as well. And we have that news page on our website, so that has all the upcoming events. And underneath it actually is all our Instagram posts. So we've been doing, we've been trying to you know, broadcast more about the upcoming events recently, but we've been having a kind of various series of posts. We have some about, how to prepare some kind of exact tips, and then some, kind of did you know stuff about, what's available potentially through your regulators, or, different resources that you have, and also kind of reaching out to get feedback from people. We're about to post up a blog soon, and you want to get some, just various stories from people, as well as, from foreign trained architects specifically, of, what was your kind of journey like, and as well as, people who started their own practice, what was their path like, and you want to have kind of a series on various topics on our blog as well. So yeah, we'll have some posts on that, and it'll be up on our website when we do post them. And we actually have a post that I made about architecture and video games that we'll be posting up soon. I'm a nerd, so yeah. And there's lots of great resources on the website too, just about there's under the resources tab, it's I'm going to share my screen here for a second. So here on this is our website, BAC-DAC.ca. This is actually a report that we put together from our launch event, all that feedback that we got. And under the resources page, so if you go to becoming an architect, there's a bit of a summary of, the various organizations, associations in Canada, how things, the people that you should know about, I guess, all the main ones. And then some of our partner organizations like Planet and CASA. And so we have links to them as well. And just a little bit about, the path to licensure and, experience like the IAP program. So we have links to all the main things you need to know there on the website. And then just information about our membership and how to sign up there as well. So yeah, there's our blog that we'll have posting up soon, and the news site. So that's where we'll have all our upcoming events get posted there. And so down here, I just mentioned that kind of a little series of our Instagram posts, and we have some of these that are, kind of tips about, oh, they brought me to Instagram, tips about how to start preparing for the exams and things like that. So yeah. Well, thanks to you guys so much for joining, and yeah, it was really, really great feedback.
Great session. Thank you, Ksenia, for organizing it and leading it.
No problem. And I'm really glad that CACB could be here, and I know they're not here to hear my thank you, but thank you to the CACB as well.
We'll follow up with them. What happened to Karen, and was Graham here?
I know Graham said he was had to come in late, but I don't think he ended up making it.
I saw him at one point.
Oh, okay.
He was here at one point. Oh, Sajida is asking if the meeting will be posted somewhere. We've recorded it, so I think we'll post it on our website, Sajida.
Maybe we can figure out, we'll talk with Graham about that. Maybe we can set up a little YouTube thing or something as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks,
Sogol and Patrick and Graham, especially Sogol. She's our latest director.
Yeah.
Maybe president by tomorrow, Ksenia, look out. And then she's going to get all my jobs next. She's going to be director of knowledge and treasurer.
Yeah, probably. It's a lot of work.
That's stoppable.
Yeah, and if anyone's interested in volunteering too, we always need more volunteers. So yeah, reach out to us. Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you, and have a good evening.
You too.
Take care, Yvonne.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, Hassan.